You know that feeling when worry just won't let go? No matter what tool you try to do, you just keep overthinking, doubting yourself, and worried about what others will think. The thing is that there's deeper patterns at play here that you need to really be aware of and address. We're going to start talking about those today, so let's jump in. Okay, the first mindset trap, perfectionism. Listen, I get it. I struggle with perfectionism as well, but this is the thing. Perfectionism likes to convince you if you just do everything perfectly, you can avoid mistakes, you can avoid failure, you can avoid rejection, right? All these negative outcomes that you don't want to feel, you can avoid shame, all these things. But this is the thing, what it actually does, it usually keeps us stuck in this cycle of just overachieving, overperforming, or the opposite end, kind of not performing, procrastinating, getting really frozen and stuck. We might struggle with burnout, all in terms of just trying to please our perfectionism. But this is the thing, when I work with perfectionists, I always say, like, sometimes your perfectionism has served you well. I know it served me well at times, and I would never encourage you to completely let it go. But you need to distinguish when it's being helpful and when it isn't. Typically, when it's also related to like this worry that you can't let go, that's usually a sign that it's not being helpful. So you need to start to recognize these instances where your unhelpful perfectionistic patterns are taking over. And so how you can start to reframe this is, instead of focusing exclusively on the outcome and achieving perfection, a lot of times I focus on the process, or kind of really focusing on like why this is important to you, the values, the journey, not just exclusively the outcome of why you're doing something or pursuing something. The other thing is really detaching your sense of self from achievement, or if you make a mistake or failures, right? Because usually if you're a perfectionist, you really try to move away from that because that feels really uncomfortable, because your sense of self is tied to being the perfectionist or doing really well in whatever area of your life. Doesn't necessarily have to be just work. It can be as a mother, it can be as a partner, whatever that looks like. But the more we can detach that sense of self, your self-worth, from your achievements, the more then you're going to be able to take risks, because if you make mistakes, that's just part of the process, and you're just going to get back up, dust yourself off, and that does not say anything about you or your worthiness as a person. Trap 2, the fear of uncertainty. Listen, I get it. Not knowing what's going to happen feels really uncomfortable. Most humans don't like uncertainty. That's just the reality of life. We like control. We like to know so we can feel kind of safe. But when we think about like this really extreme fear of uncertainty and how that's related to worry, is that you can spend countless time trying to plan and worry and prepare in order to gain some sense of certainty in certain situations where there really might not be any sense of certainty. And so that what actually happens, even though you think, well, I just need to make sure that I gain some sense of certainty, what actually happens, or how it translates into inaction, right? It looks like you just keep planning, you keep thinking about it, but you don't actually make movement. And a lot of this fear of uncertainty, it's really needing to be able to sit with the discomfort that shows up in not knowing, right? And a lot of that is at times coming back to the present moment. So you could see the last video that I did was about a grounding tool to help you come back to the present moment. So how you can really start to reframe this is that confidence doesn't come from seeking certainty, but actually from being comfortable knowing that you'll be okay either way. So kind of this internal sense of knowing that no matter what the outcome is, you'll be fine. I'm not saying that you completely let go of planning. Like, I'm not someone that says like, okay, just throw caution to the wind, which wouldn't be realistic if you're someone that struggles with worry. But you can recognize when you've kind of gotten into this place where you're in this unhelpful worry and you've already done all the preliminary planning that you can do. And if it's helpful, remind yourself that everything that you've experienced up to this point, at some point, a lot of those things were uncertain and you survived. You found a way to move through it. And so that means that you have an experience here, some set of tools that will help you move forward. Okay, the third mindset trap, people pleasing. So this is really the urge to make sure that everyone approves of your choices or actions. And listen, I get it. I'm currently in a situation where I have to maybe make some decisions or set some boundaries where I know that other people will have comments or will say something and they don't agree with it. And I notice my own discomfort about that. And it's like, oh, I know that that's going to feel hard, even though I know the choice is the right choice for me. Ultimately, what it does, not only does it make you feel really uncomfortable and spiral this worry, but you actually lose sight of what you want. You start to kind of focus exclusively on what others want. And even at times, like, you give in, even though that's something that you know to your core isn't what you want to pursue. So we can see how this underlying pattern, this need to please, can really amp up this worry, right? Because then worry showing up and that takes us to the next level and thinks about kind of the worst case scenario. There's people really being upset at you or how they can cut you out, all these different things, but not really acknowledging that there's kind of this like theme here of this need to please that's showing up, that it's helpful for you to start to recognize. How you can start to reframe this is understanding that you were not put on this planet it to please others. Even if you have some deep childhood history here that shows up, some family dynamics, you tend to be conflict avoidant, all of those things that you probably need to kind of look at or understand how they're showing up, you really need to know that your job here isn't to please others. The way you start to regain some peace is to align your decisions with your values, not everyone else's values, and starting to make room that it's okay to disappoint others, or it's okay not to make everyone else happy. They might not like it, and you might not like it initially because it feels uncomfortable. I get that. But ultimately, there's going to be a sense of relief when you start making decisions that feel right to you based on your values and your needs. Which of these mindset tracks really keep you stuck or amp up your worry? Tell me. 1 for perfectionism, 2 for fear of uncertainty, 3 for people pleasing, or all of the above, or multiple. Let me know in the comments below which one really gets you tripped up. The good news here is just like you learn these patterns, you can really start to unlearn them. But honestly, it's not enough just to apply a tool here and there. You really need to understand how these mindset traps are really amping up your worry and the relationship they're having to like your worry habits that are keeping you stuck. In this video, watch it now, I'm going to give you 2 steps to really help you recognize how you can deal with that kind of worry, as well as really start to lean into like how you can move into more of this acceptance when it comes to that emotional discomfort. Because the more you can do that, the more then you can gain control and start to live your life according to your values, not according to worry or fear of avoidance. All right, guys, and like I always say, I encourage you to continue nurturing your mind, body, and soul, whatever that looks like for you. Thanks, guys.